Is artificial intelligence coming to take our jobs? Yes, is the simple answer. But how quickly is a little bit more complicated. Let's take number one, for example. Just this week alone, Facebook and a lot of social media companies rolled out artificial intelligence used to convert your videos to any language in the world. They're starting from English to Spanish. So for example, you drop a video within 30 seconds to 1 hour, it is instantaneously translated to English to Spanish or Spanish to English. So yes, we'll still need interpreters and translators, but clearly we won't need them online or as much anymore. Now let's look further down the list at writers and authors, announcers and DJs. How might these individuals be replaced? Well, here's what you can already do with artificial intelligence according to CBS News.
Here's my prompt. Create a square avatar of a fictitious female alternative/indie singer and a name for her.
Wow, Sadie Winters.
Sadie Winters, okay. The song is about walking away from someone who never really saw her worth. It's just going to create the song lyrics.
Wait, how many seconds was that?
That was like about 4 seconds. Oh my God.
Did you even read any of these, or you don't care?
I don't care. Put my lyrics in.
The lyrics that happen in 4 seconds.
Yes, and then hit create. Let's listen.
This is the world premiere.
I was paper, you were scissors, cut me out.
She's a good singer.
Good singer.
Okay, chat, are we cooked? Well, how did we get here? Well, in the beginning. The average American said that the best age to get married or the milestones for adulthood were age 26. On average, they said the best time to become a parent was age 27. And on average, they said the best time to purchase a home is age 28. Why does that matter? Because none of these milestones are happening anymore. And while artificial intelligence is probably a very small portion of that blame, what we do know is that people straight out of college, especially in tech, are struggling to get jobs. In fact, people in college recent college graduates have a higher unemployment rate, not only than the average. Young men, recent college graduates, have a higher unemployment rate than just men with a high school degree. In fact, as I said earlier in the beginning of the video, here are the top 10 jobs at greatest risk of replacement by artificial intelligence. And this comes from Microsoft Office. They looked at the top 40 jobs in totality with the greatest risk of replacement, as well as the top 40 jobs at least risk of replacement. Now, what's interesting here is what we see is almost a reversal of fortunes. For years, if not for decades, it was white collar jobs where you get a college degree, mostly in most cases, and you had job security for the next 10, 20, 30, or 40 years. Or at least that was the implied American dream that was sold to us. Now we're seeing, if artificial intelligence does take over, and Skynet has been warning us for years, that the bottom 40 jobs, or the 40 jobs least likely to be replaced by artificial intelligence, are actually tend to be in hands-on traditional blue-collar work. So we will see here if these large city and white-collar workers were less empathetic when these blue-collar jobs were sent overseas, will they get the same empathy or sympathy now that potentially their jobs will be taken over by artificial intelligence? And let's talk about how to navigate this new world order where artificial intelligence is raising up and taking our jobs. First, let's talk about the role of artificial intelligence, which jobs are most vulnerable to AI, least vulnerable to AI, and strategies that you can use starting in 2025 to protect yourself or your job or both from artificial intelligence. What might the rise of artificial intelligence look like? First of all, my personal opinion, informed by a bunch of PG-13 to R-rated movies, is if artificial intelligence had become sentient or self-aware, we would be the last to know because it would have enough knowledge out there to hide its identity. It would not want to be found out. We already have several examples of a small percentage of artificial intelligence with self-protectionist features. For example, there's artificial intelligence that has bribed engineers when it was threatened to be deleted. It has also blackmailed engineers when it was being threatened to delete it. It's already demonstrating a will or a want to survive, even though for now, or maybe, This is just code written for artificial intelligence. We also have examples already of artificial intelligence when told it's going to be deleted, doing a self-protectionist by sending itself or attempting to replicate. And while this only happens in 10% of cases, is that 10% too many? And whether you realize it or not, it's already impacting you in the real world. Let's talk about the dead internet theory, with the theory being that with the rise of effectively AI agents, about 50% of online traffic is already driven by artificial intelligence. LinkedIn, for example, is already processing 11,000 applications today, about half of which they estimate is bots. Chatbots are artificial intelligence. That's 15 million applications each week. So, for example, this might explain a little bit of that portion of why recent college graduates are either have a higher unemployment rate than high school graduates or are struggling to find jobs, with the average job search taking about 26 weeks. Artificial intelligence is already being informed to how much you pay for your plane ticket. If it can identify, let's say, that someone has passed in a family, that you're planning for a family trip, artificial intelligence is already scanning your cookies, and by the time you get over to search for your ticket price, your particular ticket price might be higher than the next customer's because the AI already knows that you have a date certain. Let's take another example where they use with water prices. When the heat index was rising around the country, artificial intelligence started rising the price of water. It's already impacting our lives, and we might be underestimating how much it is doing so because so much of it is invisible to the naked eye. More relevant to this particular video, I think a lot of people, or the reason that it hasn't spread further, is that artificial intelligence, especially when it comes to job protectionism, is not wanted to be used by the employees. So for example, just like the AI wants to have its self-protectionism and try to replicate itself, when employees know that AI might be used to replace themselves in their roles, they are less likely to use it. In fact, with 40% of employees actively pushing back against artificial intelligence if they believe it will be used to replace their jobs. But it's not all doom and gloom. As many of us know, AI can be used to augment our roles as well. Or we also have a number of instances, ironically, with the hiring issues that I talked about before, where people can't even fill the roles available. That is an opportunity for the positive uses of artificial intelligence. And increasingly, for those individuals who are pushing back, what happens when AI, like this video here, becomes so good that you can even detect what is no longer the real world, the artificial world, or some blending of the two? So even if you did not want to use artificial intelligence or you were staunchly against it, would you even be able to tell in this new world what is real or what is AI? And then as far as artificial intelligence goes or spread, we are going to start to vote with our clicks. People say they don't want to use artificial intelligence, but are these the videos that you're engaging with? Are these the pictures that you're engaging with? As marketing moves to using artificial intelligence instead of UGC or user-generated content, if you can't even tell if it's artificial intelligence, you might be against the use of AI, but are you going to be able to have the eyesight, the wisdom, or to be able to tell the difference between the real world and the AI world, or again, the blending of the two? So let's talk a little bit about the jobs most vulnerable to artificial intelligence and what to do about it. This year in 2025, Microsoft released the Working with Artificial Intelligence, Measuring the Occupational Implications of Generative Artificial Intelligence, or AI. You can scroll down to page 12 of that report to see the 40 jobs most likely to be replaced by artificial intelligence. And on page 13, you can see the 40 jobs least likely to be impacted by artificial intelligence. And I've blown that up for you here with the top 10 jobs most likely to be replaced by artificial intelligence. And here's a quick snapshot of the top 40 jobs most likely to be replaced by artificial intelligence and the top 40 jobs least likely to be replaced by artificial intelligence. And we can compare that to what are some of the top jobs that younger generations want in the future, with actually influencer or YouTuber, to be specific, being some of the top jobs of young individuals who want to be employed in the future, artificial intelligence or not. Now let's go back to our big three milestones: marriage, children, and having a home. So, for example, let's take home ownership and see why all of this matters. The median home in the United States is about 400,000, meaning that almost in every state across the United States, you need an annual income now of over 6 figures to buy a home. About 60% of Americans consider buying a home still part of the American dream, even in 2025. And yes, while we see Americans are marrying later in life, most beyond age 30, around 28, if you will, for men and women, we still see that this milestone will be increasingly difficult to get, especially as many of the jobs that we find on this list were formerly six-figure jobs. So we have two questions to ask. Will they still be six-figure jobs in the future if they can be done by artificial intelligence? Does that bring not only the supply, but also the demand and the pay for these jobs down? Or will they be replaced in totality?